Good evening. We're glad you're with us for this first of the semester Daily O. I'm Brody Myers.
And I'm Parker Terrell. We hope you all had a good weekend.
We're getting started with some tragic news today. 19 years ago today, Oklahoma State lost 10 special members of the family.
After a Saturday afternoon game at Colorado, the Cowboys and team personnel boarded 3 planes to make the trip back to Stillwater. One of those planes never made it home. All 10 men on board lost their lives in the crash. Radio engineer Kendall Durfee, pilot Bjorn Falstrom, player Nathan Fleming, media relations coordinator Will Hancock, player Daniel Lawson, trainer Brian Lewinstra, pilot Denver Mills, director of basketball operations Pat Noyes, and voice of the Cowboys Bill Teagans, and student assistant Jared Weiberg.
Each year, the OSU family has kept their promise to always remember the 10. They'll do the same tonight before their big Monday game versus third-ranked Kansas. This morning, both Coach Mike Boynton and Coach Bill Self took their teams to the memorial inside Gallagher-Iba to make sure that their players know the magnitude of tonight's game. Tonight at 6:37 p.m., the time of the crash, the bells of the Edmond Lowe Library will toll 10 times for each victim of the tragedy. The Cowboys and the Jayhawks will tip off at 8 p.m. It's a somber day not only in the sports world, but also the whole world, as the news of the death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter Gigi spread across the globe. Also killed in the accident was head baseball coach at Orange Coast College, John Altobelli. His wife Carrie and their daughter Alyssa were also on board. Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others, including the pilot, were traveling in Bryant's helicopter to a basketball event when the helicopter crashed in Calabasas, California, northwest of Los Angeles. There were no survivors.
Bryant played all 20 of his seasons with the Los Angeles Lakers, winning 5 NBA championships, an MVP, 2 Olympic gold medals, and numerous other accolades and awards. Bryant is survived by his wife Vanessa and 3 other daughters. Bryant will be remembered as a champion, an icon, an ambassador for his sport, an Academy Award winner. But through his life after basketball, we know that the most important title to him was dad. From all of us at the Daily O, we send our condolences to the families and friends of the victims of this horrible tragedy.
Thank you, Parker. I echo those sentiments. Topping our news segment tonight, a Payne County jury awarded a Stillwater woman $5 million in a civil suit that followed her husband's death in a tractor accident. The jury found Deere & Company, the manufacturer of John Deere tractors, to be responsible for the death of James Beal when the tractor he was driving rolled over, trapping him underneath and killing him. He was 38. Shyla Beal, the wife's representative, said, quote, "No amount of money will take the place of a loving husband and father, but these funds can help Shyla and her family in other ways. Our greatest hope is we can prevent this from happening to another family. We are pleased the jury decided in our favor," end quote. Carlton Hearn, a product safety engineer for John Deere, told the court, quote, "I don't want James's death to be in vain. I want proper safety protocols followed in the future," end quote. Also tonight, this past Saturday, OSU's Delta Sigma Theta sorority hosted Poetry and Chill in the Willard Lounge with a variety of different performances from OSU students. Shania shows us more.
Nice job. Thank you.
Poetry and Chill was an event through by the Delta Sigma Thetas of OSU campus, and it was they're like a group. They travel to different colleges, and it's a place where you can come hear poetry, rap, sing, even just express your talents, and it was really fun and really nice. Honestly, like all of it was so great. I really loved the guy playing the saxophone at first. I loved Diamond, her poetry at the end, and some of the other acts they rapped, and one girl, I forgot her name, she sung, but it was all really good.
Just put on an event called Poetry and Chill Open Mic Night. This event consists of a live band and anybody who is willing to come up and perform their talents.
Can you tell me about some important highlights from the event?
So basically the live band was a big highlight to open up, get people kind of comfortable in a comfortable setting, and then I kind of had a list before of the people a week before kind of just said that they wanted to perform, and then we had people randomly last minute was like, hey, I'm willing to perform. Some people were scared, some people this was like their first time actually performing some of their work. So that was really good. We were like excited to see those people that had those last minute jitters to get up there and do it.
Thank you, Shania. For more information on upcoming events hosted by them, check out their social media. A look at some entertainment news. I take that back. Another news we're looking at today. 104-year-old World War II veteran had one simple wish for this year's Valentine's Day: to receive some Valentine's Day cards. That outcome was overwhelming, with receiving cards, gifts, candy, and more from over 25,000 people all around the globe thanking him for his service. Some came as far away as Brazil and Japan. The support came from little kids in school to teachers, fellow veterans, and families. Major Bill White is grateful for the outpouring of love and gratitude from everyone. With 3 weeks left to go until Valentine's Day, there's no telling how big Major White's pile of well wishes will grow. And now some entertainment news. A little false advertising a few moments ago. The Grammys shaped up to be a pretty eventful night. Let's take a quick look at last night's big winners. Looks like with the most awards of the night, Billie Eilish for Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. For Best Pop Duo, as well as Best Music Video, Old Town Road took home the gold, with Lil Nas X featuring Billy Ray Cyrus. For Best Country Solo Performance, Ride Me Back Home by Willie Nelson, an old-timer. You can find a full list of the award winners online with a simple Google search. That's all for news today. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it is a Mod Muse Monday. We'll be back.
Oh, there you go. Superstar.
The end of the practice is when we do all of our, intensity drills.
Okay.
She was going at it.
Stop. If we get them to Detroit by, let's say Monday the 15th. Time's right there. There we go. Yeah. Just, you can't.
Don't want to talk about it.
When you see the water tower, you're gonna make a right.
If we win this, is the one way to get to the playoffs.
I know.
And welcome back to the Daily O. It's a Mod Muse Monday, and joining me here is the Director of Photography at Mod Muse, Corey Lee. Corey, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. I wanted to start just asking you some foundational things about Mod Muse in general. Tell our viewers, what is Mod Muse?
Okay, so Mod Muse is a publication we have here on campus that basically centers itself around fashion and lifestyle. We do a couple of beauty and self-care things as well. But we like to showcase things that are happening on campus in Oklahoma, and we like to also make sure that we're making social statements with what we're putting out there. So every single issue, we make sure that we're collaborating with someone or something that's making sure that we're broadening ourselves.
And you guys have an issue 3 times over the year. When are those?
Yes, so we have one in the fall, winter, and spring. Fall is around November, and then right now we just had one that came out in January, and we have a spring one that comes out at the end of the semester.
And speaking of that issue that came out in January, if we can get the 2-shot here, every time they put out an issue in the paper, oh, there he is, they put an insert in. He got one right there.
Yes. So this is the issue that just came out today. It came out at 12 o'clock. If you go to modmusemag.com, you can actually see the version that we put out. It's the full version. But in the Opali, we have a couple of blurbs that we did, and I'm really excited about them. I shot these, and I really love them, so yeah.
Is that you right there?
Yeah, that is me right there. I'm about to post it
There
on
you go.
Instagram, actually. Yeah.
Very good. And you guys had a event today for the release day.
Yeah, so we had a release party. It was on the 4th floor of Human Sciences in the new wing. It's called the DHM Loft. And we're going to try to have a release party every single time we have a release of our issue. So stay tuned to that. Please, please, please follow Mod Muse Mag on Instagram. That's where we have all of our news that comes out about what we're doing.
Couple of articles in this edition. The first one you mentioned to me was Love Yourself. Tell our viewers about that.
Yes, so Love Yourself. It is centering, we wanted to showcase it for Valentine's Day since Valentine's Day is coming up. But, Valentine's Day always centers itself around, relationships and couples. And so a lot of people out there still haven't found their, significant other. So it's, we just wanted to make sure that people know that, it's okay to love yourself and doing things. But we added a lot of mirrors and sparkles and things that just reflect who you are. So that's really cool too. I loved that shoot.
You may have mentioned this, but this isn't just a fashion magazine. It's also a lifestyle magazine.
Yeah, it's also a lifestyle. So that's how we try to collaborate those things is how can you live your lifestyle and we can represent it in fashion to make social statements.
Sure. And the other one, Factory Obscura. Tell us about that.
Yes. Okay, so Factory Obscura was probably my favorite, my most favorite shoot to this day. That's where the cover came from. This is Emily. And basically, we got to go into Factory Obscura. There was no one there except for us directors, and we got to have free range. So there was different emotions for each room, and basically each director had to dress towards that emotion. So I had hope, one had angsty, one had joy, and there was just 3 others, and it was really cool to be able to shoot them within that setting. We kind of did it towards our style and things like that.
So this Factory Obscura, you said it's in Oklahoma City?
It's in Oklahoma
Talk about
City,
that.
Northwest 9th Street. It's downtown. It is really cool. So basically, each room is interactive kind of in essence. They have basically put together different items and things like that on the walls. Have a bed. It's like a little kid's room. It's like a love hallway. It's circular, and it's really cool. It costs money, of course, but it's totally worth it. And they have these interactive glasses that literally change the whole entire scenery. It's awesome.
I know this is kind of a surprise question, but this is a fashion magazine. We had the Grammys last night. Can you tell us who you're wearing?
Okay, so right now, I got this from, what I'm wearing right now. Okay, so I got this from a thrift store in Dallas, in my hometown of Flower Mound. It's just an Italian suit. And then I got this top, this white t-shirt from Urban Outfitters. I got it on clearance for $3. I know, work that magic. These pants I got from Zara. My mom got them for me. Thanks, Mom. Love you so much. And then these shoes I got from a thrift store in Denver, Colorado. And I love them to the death of me. And then I get all my jewelry from either Amazon or James Avery. So these are all Amazon, except for this one. My boyfriend got me this. And then my rings are from James Avery.
So you can see the thrift store goes a long way.
The thrift store goes a long way. If you don't thrift, you should really try it, if you really search for it.
Corey, do you have anything else for us?
Just stay tuned. Please follow Mod Muse Mag. It is one great publication. We are looking for photographers right now. So if you're into photography, go online and apply for that, please. It's on our website. And lastly, we would love for you to collaborate with us. So if you are an organization who wants to showcase yourself on our magazine, we would love that as well. And thank you so much.
Corey, thank you.
Yes.
We're going to send it back over to the desk. Parker has sports.
Thanks, guys. As we talked about earlier, yesterday, basketball legend Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter accident. Our sports analysts from One on One, Logan Mosier, Reed Spencer, and Chris Notch, talked about Kobe's impact on the sports world.
News that Kobe Bryant unfortunately died yesterday in a helicopter crash at the age of 41, along with his 13-year-old daughter, Jana, as well as 7 others. So, I was kind of thinking about this. How do you kind of talk about Kobe? And it's like, well, I know 2 big basketball fans, and there's no talk about his career accolades. There's no talk about what he was doing as a father. Just talk about Kobe, because that's the only thing you can really do, because he meant something different to everyone. I mean, he was obviously a Laker through and through, but the city of Philadelphia loved Kobe because that's where he's from. He spent a ton of time in Italy growing up. I mean, he was the baddest man on the court and maybe outworked everyone for 20 years. So either one of you could start, but just talk about what Kobe you meant to you as a sports fan and what he meant to the game of basketball.
Well, Chris, I'm gonna throw to you first because you saw it all. We were born a little bit later. We were born a couple of years after he was drafted, and you saw him win all those championships with Shaq, then reinvent himself and win those 2 with Pau. and Andrew Bynum and Lamar Odom and those guys. So tell me what it was like to watch his career through and through.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks again for having me on. It's great to be on. It's weird when you're coming on for something you like. You're glad to
You would never
celebrate, but
expect.
but it's like, man, like now already. You know,
Yeah.
it's different if he was older, and we've talked about some of the other greats we've lost that were old. It doesn't bother you as much. But first off, kind of pointing this out, I do want to say, condolences to the other family members. I was having this conversation with my dad, how there's people all over the world that are thinking, oh, no one's caring about everyone else, always Kobe, and his daughter Gianna, and no one thinks about the others. But I was telling my dad, I said it's different depending on what you follow. As someone that played basketball in high school, that followed the NBA, and as you mentioned, Logan, someone that watched Kobe for years growing up as a kid. Him and Kevin Garnett were my two guys I looked up to and played hoops at, and wanted to be like. And so someone from the outside world doesn't understand the pain and this like numbness that you feel if you were a fan, if you followed him. Reed and I were texting yesterday, and he's like, someone famous, how can it just hurt so bad? And I was talking to Landon before, and none of us knew him personally. No one knew Kobe Bryant personally, but we felt like we all knew him. And that I think that's what hurts the most, is just like you felt like you knew who this guy was. You looked up to him, you idolized him. There's people all over the world that are feeling how we do in all different shapes and forms, and stuff. But it's crazy. Some of my favorite memories of Kobe, the one that always comes to mind is 2010 when he won his last championship. Because as a Celtics fan with Kevin Garnett, I watched Game 7, and the Celtics dwindled their lead, and the Lakers came back, and Kobe said he just knew. I saw something yesterday where he was like, I knew that we were going to win that game. It did not matter. We were coming back. The Mamba mentality, of course. But it's just like that hurt because of, obviously, he beat the Celtics, obviously proud of him too. And then, everyone talks about the 81-point game against the Raptors in 2006. You have the 60-point game.
The anniversary of that just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, just on Wednesday, actually. And then you have the 60-point game for when he ended his career.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking,
against the Jazz.
There's so many 60-point
games. His
games.
retirement game was a 60-point phenomenon that had the world just losing their minds because it was Kobe.
Yeah.
The 81, a couple weeks before that against Dallas, he had 60 in 3 quarters.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
He was, in that season, he was kind of scoring at will on everyone. So,
won the scoring title that year, averaged 35 points a game, became one of like 3 or I think one of 6 people to ever average 35 points per game in a single season. His accolades are just off the charts. Like, everybody's heard these already. 18-time All-Star, 5-time champ, 12-time All-Defensive Player, 9 first-team All-Defenses, 4 All-Star Game MVPs, 1 regular season MVP. Probably should have won more than one of those. 2-time scoring champ, 15-time All-NBA, and then the 2 Finals MVPs at the end that he won without Shaq. He was the coolest guy on he was the Mamba mentality and his stone cold killer attitude on the court. He was the coolest guy of our childhoods watching basketball. And even in that later part of his career, post that last championship, he was still kind of that cool guy, but in a different way. He was a lot tougher. He showed how tough he was when he tore his Achilles and then shot 2 free throws and walked off the court on his own will of his own power. We're seeing his athleticism right here. One of the most athletic guys to ever come in the NBA, mirrored Michael Jordan, is the closest thing we've ever seen to Michael Jordan. Wasn't quite Michael Jordan, but he was special. He had the same competitive fire that Michael had. He inspired a whole generation of guys because, guys that are around our age in the NBA right now, they didn't see Michael Jordan play. They saw Kobe Bryant play. They saw him have the killer mentality.
We'd like to thank those guys for that segment. Kobe Bryant's impact was not just on sports, but the world will never be forgotten. OSU men's basketball is playing the University of Kansas tonight at Gallagher-Iba Arena. We're going to go back to Logan and Reed to hear a preview of that game.
Because you can't out-talent Kansas if you're Oklahoma State, unfortunately. They just have too many guys that are really good at basketball. That's why they go to Kansas. That's why they're scholarship players at Kansas. It's going to be interesting to see how the defense holds up against Kansas. But like you said, GIA has kind of been Bill Self and Kansas's kryptonite over the past couple of seasons. Mike Boynton was able to sweep them his first year as a head coach. I mean, it hasn't had the same level of success, but that's hard to do. Not a lot of coaches can say they sweep Bill Self in a season, especially in Big 12 play. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to keep up this new style of offense they found since Isaac's been back the past couple of games, putting up about 70. But it's going to have to take disciplined defense. You're going to need another 20-something minutes from Yor. He can't be getting in foul trouble super early on in the game. So I think ball movement and being able make sure Yor and A is going to be able to finish games is going to be a big deal for the Cowboys tonight.
In 2016, a 12-win team beat the number 3 Kansas Jayhawks 86-67. Of course, Mike Boynton swept them in his first year. The Cowboys have beaten the Jayhawks 8 times since 2008. That's just about as much as anyone. Before they moved to Galgariba, but Kansas does have the record, I believe, 37-35 in Stillwater, but the Cowboys have a winning record against the Jayhawks in Galgariba. I believe it's 35-34, so could move to 500. We forgot to mention Cam Griff joins 1,000-point club from Saturday as well. So congratulations to that Cowboy and that accomplishment. So I think, with Kansas, you have to do just about everything well. I mean,
not a lot of room for mistakes.
No, and hopefully you need Kansas to slip up a little bit. But I think you mentioned this earlier. After this fight and everything that happened, I mean, it was a close one with Tennessee. I don't think Kansas and Bill Self are letting things slide.
Right.
In practice over the past few days. I think that the Kansas and Bill Self have got things lined up, and they're where they need to be coming into Stillwater. But the Cowboys have shown that they can do it before, but they're going to need to shoot the ball a lot like they did 2 nights ago in Aggieland. I mean, they're going to need to shoot the ball.
They're going to need to take smart shots, and I think Lindy needs to be pretty aggressive. I feel like he's kind of picked that up lately. He kind of fell off with his aggressiveness, kind of went a little bit more passive when they went on that terrible losing streak. But if he can remain aggressive and take some smart three-pointer, and even those step-back threes that he takes, I don't really mind all that much because I think he's a capable shooter of making some of those. So if he can stay aggressive, they move the ball, York can stay in the game at the end of the game to play some solid defense for him. They've got a shot, but like you said, they've got to play pretty much a perfect game. There's a reason Kansas has almost an 81% chance to win this game according to ESPN, but you can't really trust their power index. They've got some weird stuff going on there, but the Jayhawks are favored by 7 points, so it's a pretty big spread in college basketball.
Well, tonight is a night to remember the 10 and those lives lost in the plane crash in 2001. I mean, we still know there's a lot of people around here that were around in 2001 that were impacted by that. And certainly, as we talked about the Kobe Bryant tragedy yesterday, things like this always put it in perspective. But I think Oklahoma State has done a good job at continuing to remember those games and truly never forgetting what they gave to Cowboy basketball. And I think tonight and Oklahoma State has faced tragedy before, and I hope that the university never has to deal with tragedy again. But things like this have made Oklahoma State stronger, and continuing to honor them and letting their families know that Oklahoma State will never forget, I think is a testament to what kind of place and how special Oklahoma State is.
Yeah, I agree. They do a really great job of always bringing the focus to this, and it's always really sombering at the beginning of the game, and it's always a great deal that they do to show that it's in GIA. There's a memorial to those guys and girls that lost their lives that day. It's a very somber day. It's been a weird, we talked about before the show, a weird couple of days with the Kobe news yesterday, and then this is today. It's a lot of remembering some really great people that tragically lost their lives a little too early.
And I believe that, I think in the southwest corner of GIA is certainly where they have the memorial.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's open all day.
I think that's
right. So I think you can go by there, and 8 p.m. I think is when they're doing the moment of remembrance, and Galgariba tip-off is just a few minutes after that. So be sure to not only get out tonight and support Oklahoma State in Galgariba as they're taking on the number 3 team in the country and are looking for that first Big 12 win of the year. Be sure to go and remember and honor those 10 lives lost in 2001. But tonight, I mean, is also, they're still playing basketball.
Right.
And I think that as difficult as this may be and a challenge to take down a number 3 team. Hopefully, Oklahoma State built up a lot of that confidence.
Be sure to cheer on the Cowboys tonight at 8 p.m. at Gallagher-Iba Arena. The NFL Pro Bowl was played last night in Florida. It started off as a somber moment as the fans remembered the passing of Kobe Bryant. As you can see right here, Deshaun Watson drops back to pass, throws it, and it is picked off by Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith decides to try to run the ball back. He's going down the sidelines in what attempts to be one of the most exciting plays of the game. Then he laterals it back to defensive lineman from the Philadelphia Eagles, Fletcher Cox, who proceeds to rumble down the field into the end zone. Further on into the game, Kirk Cousins is back to pass inside their own red zone and throws it to Green Bay Packers receiver Devontae Adams, who proceeds to honor Kobe Bryant with his celebration. A lot of hops there, Brody.
A lot of hops.
In the next play, Tennessee Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill throws it to DJ Chark from the Jacksonville Jaguars, breaks 2 tackles, and runs down the sideline in what will be one of the final touchdowns of the game. In the final part of the game, Kirk Cousins is dropped back to pass, strip sacked by Calais Campbell, and TJ Watt from the Steelers runs it all the way back to seal a victory for the AFC team for the 2nd year in a row in the NFL Pro Bowl. You can see here as all of the teammates celebrate with him.
Did you watch a second of the Pro Bowl?
I did not, Brody.
I didn't either. I think a high school chess match would have been more interesting. At least it has meaning.
I agree. Now let's take a quick look at today's weather.
It was nice and balmy out there. I'm a cold weather person. I wish it were a little colder than it was, but I'll take an occasional 69 degrees.
Yep, the high today was 69, but tomorrow it gets chilly and rainy with the high of 46 and a low of 30.
All right, folks, if you missed the top of our show in news, we talked about remembering Kobe as well as remembering the 10 OSU men that lost their lives, as well as an event that happened this weekend.
And in sports, we continue to look at the passing away of Kobe Bryant, along with tonight's game against Kansas in Gallagher-Iba Arena.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @TheDailyO_TV. You can find me on Twitter at Myers Voice. How about you, Parker?
I'm at Parker Terrell 2.
And you can also watch this show on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Suddenlink Channel 112. You're probably doing one of those right now. For the Daily O, I'm Brody Myers.
And I'm Parker Terrell. Have a good evening, Cowboys.